Boys upsetting TSM of all teams to be here. And Ambrosia had to beat so many good teams, Cuber, Winthrop, and M80. Like, both these teams put in the work to rewrite the narrative that they are, you know, last stage, you're at the bottom of the standings, one of them getting relegated. So just to be in this position and against each other says so much. So I'm excited to see who's going to be going forward to the semifinal. And this is the map pick of Burger Boys. So they're hoping to start out strong on offense.
Could be an opportunity with this gate crash to show pressure today and then come back over, but no, not going to happen. Recon bolt that mid for the defense, not going to see much either. And this one-way smoke will be challenged, so there's a little bit of pressure here for Ambrosia to have to deal with that A-main.
Quiet, steady, and Glyph will be able to cut them off with paranoia as they walk in. If only Satellite could have all these pins lined up for him to take them down. Burger Boy is going to hope to put on pressure. Approaching now with the smoke, cutting off a lot of that vision from Ambrosia's backline. And here's the cutoff from that Omen, having to do it all by himself. Burger Boys did a good job of splitting up Ambrosia with these smokes and have taken out Satellite without really needing to trade it out. Welly's on the top to assist the rest of Ambrosia. This will be a plant coming through.
Yeah, Practice did take a considerable amount of damage, so you need to be very cautious of things like a follow-up shock dart, which Welly has now spent. I think it actually chunks a little bit onto Alvin in the back over there. Welly revealed as Practo is able to get maybe a little bit of chip damage through the floor. But this is going to be a double fall off here for Ambrosia. Grab net down, Practo stuck for now, but has help. Nanners is watching the deep cross, sees the shoulder. That's actually going to connect through the outside of the bomb. And now it's just down to Acrian, who is, I would say, pretty much up a creek without a paddle. Not really much of an opportunity to get through this, and Alvin just kind of strafes him, snipes him out, and a first round goes to Burger Boys pretty comfortably.
Yeah, Nanners and Alvin really came in with a game plan of where they were going to smoke and where they were going to cage. And despite really not knowing what the out the gate setup from Ambrosia was going to be, they knew the power positions they had to lock down and how they were going to push in together. And this is a Burger Boys team that lacks a lot of experience, you know, compared to the talent that we have in Challengers, but they're able to beat the best. They're able to beat TSM, and so they have good game plans. The only thing I'm looking at for Burger Boys going forward is how they adapt to once they do face some pushback from Ambrosia.
Yeah, there is a level of that for sure, especially in the double sentinel comp, right? Like, when we've seen this really executed to perfection or to some significant veterancy, the defensive half gets like snowballed out of control so quickly. So yeah, there's a level of, you know, losing out on that pistol and being on the defensive side. You're pretty much playing for round 3 at this point. If you could steal away something here though with the anti-eco just off classics, you're gonna feel like, wow, we're chilling. But nah, that's unfortunate. Just spam through the dark cover. Retro will get benefited with a headshot on the Satellite. And now mid-map is an issue for Ambrosia, again, just with classics.
Yeah, I'm thinking Bonnie has the edge here in terms of duelist. He top fragged against TSM on Lotus and Ascent, so this is a really strong map for his Jet. And this is the front runner, and you need him to be a front runner. And already with the Marshall, I didn't cast a curse at this time, and Burger Boys just want a clean round, as you said, just waiting for that anti-eco to come through. While as Ambrosia, they have their own threats, and they're trying to present exactly that against Burger Boys, making it as difficult as possible, and leaving Welly with the best case scenario, at least for how it started, in a 1 versus 3. Here's the approach. They're catching one off guard. Not so steady shots for Burger Boys. And the knife has to come out, I guess.
Panic! Panic! What do you want to trust? The weapon swap or just the run at him with a knife? Oh, we love it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that's not bad at all in terms of, you know, just having classics, no purchase on shields. You force a couple of repurchases. It makes this bonus pretty light. Or, you know, the other side of that is it forces you to make some pretty difficult decisions on what you want to purchase. It will just be kind of half weaponry that gets through. But yeah, the initial hit here for Burger Boys, finding so much success. Well, he makes a go of it, but can't do too much. So early Odin in play for Ambrosia. Again, with the ability to play that along double sentinels. Like, if you can afford things like an Odin, afford things like an operator early, it just makes this whole map feel so small because there's just not a lot of routes that Burger Boys are going to be able to hit for free.
Odin isn't as strong with all the walls that got patched. You can't just like spam through the B main like you were before, but it's still one that will make it a bullet obstacle course if you're hoping to go through B main, which depending on what Alvin can accomplish on his solo ride over there, could inspire Burger Boys to do just that. But because this middle of the map is so open, Ambrosia are not even going to wait through Market or Pizza to watch over it. Burger Boys have free reign to do whatever they want with this map control.
And the thing about this is keep an eye on Practo. No recon bolt for right now, but Practo has to clear this angle off. You can't not just throw smoke at this and think it's good. You're going to have to spend something like an owl drone. They're going to clear out logs first. There's the trap out just to gain some space, and that actually forces the Odin back into sight. And now you've got the quick wrap back over to A. This is the teeth of the defense, though, where you've got all of your setup for Agrian. Gravnat going to slow this down over towards Tree, but you don't clear off Bonnie in the corner. And that's enough for a couple of kills to come out. The lurk is denied, but the A's site is wide open.
You'd like to go and find Glyph before he regroups. It's still having that 5 versus 2 over at A is a strong push for Burger Boys to just have the right read on which one the weaker site was, because I don't imagine facing that Odin on B is going to be any fun. Satellite's positions revealed. You got an Owl Drone 2 on the post plan. Burger Boys will have a heads up on what the plan is, but do they know that Glyph is over in Tree in that glass area? And he's been a threat. He's had some good picks here and there from that position. Now that the smoke's cleared, he's just not feeling confident going forward. They're just going to save, I guess.
Yeah, this is one of those, like, you just don't find good contact. It's not worth, on the defensive side, to try to pull rifles into a briefing for a post plant. A couple of purchases will be forced out. Again, this is a bonus round for Burger Boys. They're still going to hold 2 rifles, so this is going to feel like a huge win for Burger Boys. And that really is one of those situations that, is made more difficult because the lurk is not inefficient from Burger Boys. It stalls out the defense pretty considerably with the kind of fake hit that they start to develop towards B. The quick wrap back over to A. You survive through the grab net. That pick in particular for Bonnie is incredible. And then you just have to kind of save. You have to go back for the Odin. You can't just let an expensive weapon like that sit on the ground. So, well, we'll back into full form again. And there will be Guardians to go with it, but this is not your traditional, you lost the bonus, and now you're into a save. This is still a very formidable purchase for Ambrosia.
As soon as Ambrosia start to look at it, they have their eyes shut for good. Ambrosia are trying to be aggressive at A, and they got shut down there too, but they're able to at least take one with them. Burger Boys get to farm all the orbs that they want, but now there's the sonic sensors, which is going to make things difficult for Bonnie, and the rest actually doesn't bother him at all. It just goes above and beyond, and Akrian with 1 HP still lives on, still has a breath in his lungs, and Ambrosia will try to join his side, but Burger Boys may abandon the mission.
Yeah, they could just kill Noise here, try to create some doubt into what they want to do. Dark cover will fade. Alvin going to get to work on trying to clear out some of the space at Tree. Has Sean nearby. Contact doesn't go his way. So Ambrosia should be good to lock this one up. Important round here early, especially with the Odin kind of continuing to be a factor. Now you all of a sudden can start to build up your pockets a little bit. You've got things like the Hunter's Fury around the corner, the Annihilation starting to be earned up. And Ambrosia, after the pistol, the anti-eco, and the bonus go awry, you're starting to get right back into this half pretty much instantaneously.
I think that Ambrosia are starting to take different positions too, one around mid, to not let Burger Boys just get so many options to where they want to go. And I think almost having too many options can overwhelm Burger Boys at times, and wanting to maybe go to B, come back to A. And how you're going to deal with now this more aggressive omen at the front door there of Glyph, which that plan could develop into something special for Ambrosia with more rounds and better execution. So a lot of A action. Could maybe see Burger Boys see what B is all up to, because they've had to read that this deadlock is all over A, and now things have switched up.
And contact for Gravnet here to kind of slow down any potential hit towards B main quickly, in case there is some sort of like a stinger hit or something of the nature. Trap wires are double reinforced on towards Tree. Spy cam to help out. So again, you can kind of see what Ambrosia is doing. They just don't want sites, including the anti-fly zone, onto Bonnie, who has already made it a kind of point that they're going to want to get on top of the spike site. Well, he's going to get some good intel. Satellite peeking. Opportunity for Bonnie, but yeah, good teleport back now. 60 seconds. Decision time for Burger Boys.
Yeah, and they've Burger Boys have been spotted at Catwalk, and Ambrosia aren't going to change up their positions too much. Now with the barrier in the way too, you kind of have Glyph inserted into a fun position, but Alvin's not a type of sentinel that takes risks. As Burger Boys finally dash their way in, use the smokes and the cages to press his backline, but teleporting in their face, Shondex deals with that appropriately. Yeah, Burger Boys still are set up.
No paranoia, or like to kind of go in towards backside of hell there is a little bit peculiar. Spam on the corner. Bonnie hasn't taken a lick of damage. Oh my. Counter flash. Spamming out. It's just who hits who first. Bonnie just floating in the air until eventually Satellite finds him. Hunter's Fury had been called in for the offense of Practo. Doesn't really do too much besides delay the hit, though. Nice shots coming through, though, for Nanners. And Procto and Alvin can just kind of continue just to dance with Welly, who has to, again, try to get out here and save the Odin. And it looks like they very well may teleport for Nanners just to try to see if they can find an angle at this. And Welly is still being hunted. Here's his Alamo. This Burger Boy is going to get there in time to stop this Odin from being carried into the next round. Nope. That's actually not too insignificant because Welly can now afford for another player as well.
Bonnie had a difficult decision being on that high ground, and we were all just on the edge of our seats. Was Bonnie going to spam through the smoke and potentially just team kill or sacrifice himself and reveal his position? That's tough because as soon as you shoot through the smoke, you reveal your own position. So maybe Bonnie could have had like more of a team spray of having someone else spam through that smoke if they really had an inkling just based on the util that was coming out of A Heaven. Or Bonnie could have just kind of laid low and play alongside that Hell player or play through main. But still very good information awarded to Bonnie and pressure that forced Ambrosia to take a step back and address it one by one. So I like the post-plant positions from Burger Boys, and it ended up making it really difficult for Ambrosia to drop down and have a good advantage.
The chess game's starting to develop, though. You can obviously see what Ambrosia really wants to do with at least their purchase with this Odin, which has largely, I would say, been not a factor. Like, yeah, you get 2 kills there, but it's kind of like we really haven't seen that to be a part of the defensive setup for Ambrosia much at all. And again, like talking about that, how do you get Burger Boys to run into it? You know, that's kind of been the big question mark. When you're running double Sentinel, you know, we've seen it done with like a Jet or something of the nature where you then pull the operator, you try to force everyone to the ops. I mean, Satellite is very capable of pulling an op as well. But without the ability to afford that, and you're still going into the Odin, like that's the whole thing, is you're trying to force Burger Boys to go into that Odin. And honestly, to this point, they've avoided it pretty nicely. There has not really been any sort of a set play towards B yet. So if you're Ambrosia, you need to be talking about what can we do to make mid a little bit more contested and tree a little bit more contested.
Burger Boys going to set themselves up to draw some attention from that market side, where they were spotting one of the duelists, or a satellite, I should say, from the last round. Now he's going to have more help, and maybe like a cage to drop down to help him escape, or if you want to just teleport out, depending on the window there. As Burger Boys still have to assess where are these Sentinels set up. Sonic sensors have been in tree, they were in B, now they're over in A again. Camera is going to spot a lot of this push from Burger Boys, all thanks to Sean Dex.
I love this idea, though. Again, just like show that force over towards B main. See if you can get that Odin involved. And then you try to just play a bit of a, off timing with the knives. Bonnie catches one up and over, now can move over towards mid. This puts this defense into a lot of trouble, especially with Retro stepping up deep. Welly in some major, I would say, contest, but deals with the first pretty nicely. Bonnie, though, goes completely unguarded. And it's just down to Welly, who will likely not have the opportunity to save it this time. As, he's just going to be completely overwhelmed. Convincing start here for Burger Boys. Again, on the offensive side against a double Sentinel, you don't often see a tally that looks like this.
Burger Boys are having fun. Like, Bonnie's giggling and kicking his feet after the 3K with the knives. And it was just off of a really good bait and switch play. Like, you had Bonnie just be such a threat in the middle of the map over at Catwalk, everything. Forced all those market members from Ambrosia to turn towards the middle of the map as they already were. But it allowed that opening from Retro to push through deep into B, and for him to play a Yoru that likes to teleport in, that likes to play deep, it is unafraid to be in your face solo. Retro can capitalize on the distractions that his team creates to pull off plays like that. So I'm liking the tandem play of those two duelists on Burger Boys.
Yeah, me too. I mean, and they haven't even been able to use the dimensional drift yet. Like, they're just kind of getting away with just, again, early intel from Practo, followed up by just the overall smoke, flash, dash. So it's worked out nicely.
Who's next?
It's nothing crazy, nothing you haven't seen before. Sensor will be triggered. Retro, gate crashing back over to mid to see what's happening over at B. And no one is home. So this is what you look at. You just dash on in, you get market control. The rest of the team can just walk their way through sidewalk to get a B set up. And again, it's just Odin, operator, none of them finding any early contact to stop this Burger Boys to execute. It's just not good enough for Ambrosia right now.
Yeah, I would have liked for Glyph to pop the ult, maybe just teleport through B main and try to give ulterior motive for Burger Boys to kind of have different options, different angles. Now just hoping to play this all front to back, from back sight to market, and Bonnie just flips the whole round on its head. All eyes are on Bonnie and what else they're able to do. The beautiful 3K last round, and he's still just alive at logs, and Ambrosia has to dedicate all their attention to him. Deal with that darn duelist. Still a 3 versus 3 post lane.
Yeah, they need satellite to get in here. I mean, you find a pick, you get the dimensional drip, but this is taking too long. So now you're starting to talk about the value of, like, we've got an Odin and operator. Can we just get out of here and just save those weapons? Not going to be able to. So that's an expensive round right there for Ambrosia. You just aren't able to get anything going, legitimately. I mean, we talk about it, and I've said it a couple of times, so I'll stop being the dead horse, I promise. But when you have an Odin and an operator out, the whole idea is that you stop any early contact, or any early executes, I should say, by way of establishing threat of the ops, threat of the Odin, threat of things like the double sentinel setup. But so far, we have had so many free executes for Burger Boys. And it isn't by doing anything too crazy besides either finding a first blood somewhere up close or just walking through mid. It's not been complete enough for Ambrosia's defense, and they desperately need something to change. Otherwise, this map can get out of hand quick.
Ambrosia have had a couple of punish opportunities, like when Retro goes too deep and he's teleporting into hell. Like, Ambrosia have small moments, like punishing Bonnie on top of Heaven at A, but it's been a lot of reactive and not a lot of Ambrosia taking fate in their own hands. And they maybe had Glyph pop out at A main, like, as barriers drop, and as soon as that was shut down, they never did it again. And it's like Ambrosia are losing more confidence and losing more wind in their sails every time they try something new and it doesn't work.
Yeah, there's definitely, like, it's so tough because, like, you need to start seeing these contact points being won by things like an op shot or an Odin. And the sensor drones haven't really found any value. You really haven't gotten much out of any grav nets lockdowns. Like, the barrier mesh has been largely just avoided. Like, there's just been so many moments in this map to where it's just been too free. It really has. It's been too free where Burger Boys can walk onto site. Now you're down to 30 seconds. Like, and wouldn't you know it, here's the paranoia, there's the flash, there's the smoke, and you get a first blood of it. And the defense is nowhere in place to deal with this. Now again, it's pistols and a shotgun, but still, the fact of the matter remains that no one's even contesting these executes.
Yeah, Burger Boys are just using a lot of time to wait out util from Ambrosia, and then they step in, they first blood, and they win the round. Like, I mean, Ambrosia have 2 sentinels, and there's been not too much slowdown coming out of them to catch Burger Boys with a trip, with sonic sensor, nothing. So Burger Boys, I'm sure they're having a ton of fun just playing the game of Valorant without really too much on the other side to say anything about it.
Yeah. This is how you want your map pick to go in a first round playoff game. So this round's going to come to, well, should be an anticlimactic finish, but Glyph is able to catch one through the dark cover. And yeah, is just going to try to sacrifice themselves to the spike. One chance to touch.
What's another death?
But there won't be enough time to hold this. Plus, you also just kind of spam out the outlaw. And everyone will get away except for Acreon. So 7-1 count, and with all the ultimates being essentially tallied besides Wellies, Ambrosia need to win this next round. They need it badly. Problem is they're going to be facing up against an operator still being held by Retro.
Just how much value can you get from these ultimates too from Ambrosia, so you can cycle them to generate more of a win streak to help your economy and help make this first half a little bit more bearable, as this will be the first time out for Ambrosia, and very good, because how do you make A less weak? Because that was a part of a lot of the success from Burger Boys in the first couple of rounds. Now B is being cracked open like an egg, so it's these Sentinels have to discuss, like, what is going to be the setup. And maybe you could just double stack Sentinels. I wouldn't even hate that. Whatever it's gonna take to make this difficult for Burger Boys to traverse.
Oof. That's pretty much the only reaction I have right now, Jen. Oof.
Yeah.
It's like, at a certain point, you step away from the compositional differences, you step away from the individual score differences, and there's a level of, like, again, this is the Burger Boys team that we were really impressed with during the Swiss stage. I think especially, we saw it from the desk, like, both teams, pretty treacherous schedule in terms of coming out of a pretty poor first stage, having to battle back into the Swiss and doing so quickly. I think the most impressive, though, is Burger Boys like finishing off and getting qualified by way of beating TSM. And I will say, like, that was a TSM team that looked a little cold and looked like they were playing with a little bit of disrespect. But regardless of it, if you're a Burger Boys, you're sitting here saying, don't disrespect us, and they're punishing mistakes. And kind of the same situation here, just not allowing Ambrosia to get their game plan working. So, yeah, must-win round. That's kind of the coming back to it. This is a must-win round right here for Ambrosia.
And I sound like a hater, but I'm the only one who predicted Ambrosia, just saying. Like, I look at the results, I look at their potential, and I know where that ceiling can be. And I think that timeout gave them already a lot more confidence. You have Glyph and Wine, which he was kind of turtled up on A before. And Ambrosia have more of a game plan of where they want their deadlock util set up at A. But this is, again, an open mid-map, an open market that Bonnie thrives in. He gets first bloods a lot here.
There will be some potential contact for Satellite, while also watching the cross. And keep in mind that as much as Glyph is in a forward position, has the bailout of being able to teleport back over if action at B continues to come through, which, yeah, Shondex is getting a really solid read on this. No commitment to crossover yet, though. No, and Satellite is going to have to be forced to make a decision here. Will not gate crash back in time. 30 seconds left on the clock. Follow-up action over to Shondex's direction. Still has plenty of traps left. And as soon as the cyber cage fades, there's a paranoia that can allow you to try to chow this together, but the contact is missed. 15 seconds, time running out. Sean still staying very healthy on top of the site. And yeah, now you just spam everyone down, and the Odin finally pays off for the price that it costs as well. He catches 3.
Finally, Ambrosia are adapting to this market push from Burger Boys. Bonnie also scared the heck out of me carrying the spike while being a jet. And it's like you dash in solo, you get smoked off, the spike's just out. But that was not really the problem for Burger Boys. It was now you're facing an actual setup from Ambrosia. A crossfire, someone deep within sight. There was actually someone on the other side that was contesting you. So this is the level I want Ambrosia to be at. And post timeout, yeah, it took a sort of a 1-7 start for them to realize, okay, oh wow, we need a game plan, and looking forward to seeing that. And Glyph is huge. He pops out of A just like he did that last round, and he already finds some action.
Hunter sure try to clear. Glyph has stayed relatively safe from that, and again, the damage has already been dealt, so it doesn't really make much of a difference even if he falls in that position. One way will get replaced. Bonnie thinking about it, just trying to see if they can force some action. That goes right past the right ear of Glyph. But there is no trade, and the 3v5 from here, unless Bonnie can find an orb or an elimination and turn this into a knife spree, Ambrosia should be feeling pretty confident about their ability to close this round out.
Got Shondex trip too at market. Ambrosia are adapting and trying to hang it back as much as possible so they're not immediately accessible by Bonnie on any kind of dashes in. Ambrosia got to play far back, and they just got to react and punish, which sounds simple in concept, but Burger Boys now shifted back towards A, and finding Glyph is huge.
Yeah, that can't happen. GravNet to slow things down from main, keeps Acre just focused on the front. Annihilation out, trying to snipe it, does not connect, and now to her 3v3. Satellite going to take their time in the dimensional drift, as the neural theft is also called simultaneously. And Satellite, he really needs to find a way to pop a flash and get out of this. Decoy is here, but how do you clear this 1v1 with just an operator? Unfortunately, well, he gets one before dropping. Really turns this into 2 separate 1v1 battles. Good luck if you're our ops team. Which fight do you want to watch first? As Satellite misses the first shot. Alvin finds the pick. Shondex has gotten damage onto his 1v1, trying to snap over. Bonnie down to essentially 1 bullet. Sean trying to find the angle. Time running out in this play, though. Have to go quickly. See the top of the ponytail. Sean with the shot, and that will work out for Ambrosia to take a couple in a row.
Especially when Bonnie was already injured, the shoot through the box, too. And Burger Boys almost turned around to 3v5, though. So, hold on. Like, that was almost really impressive. I would have liked if Satellite just committed. Yes, he missed the first op shot, but I don't think 180ing and trying to get out is possible in that spot. So, he had a chance too when the person in Wine sort of tucked away and Satellite had the first, spot. He was able to just lock on. So these 1v1s got to be cleaner, and then we'll see a more decisive round win. Because I don't think a 3v5 should have even been close to possible with the spot that Ambrosia were in.
Well, Pop out from Satellite. No Odin this time, but I was going to say, can Satellite connect? It's been a slow game for him this far, but big first blood there. Shuts down Retro early. Knives are going to come out now for Bonnie. For the rest of this 4v5. Spike is not a part of this potential play. And Satellite is trying to play a little bit of defense on this barrier match. Aldrone will force the gate crash out and the teleport back just to be safe. Alvin's seen that mid. Knives come up empty over through main, so this initial attempt for Burger Boys has been stifled.
And Paranoia is out too from Glyph, so this forced Alvin back, but that's fine. I think Burger Boys throughout a lot of these rounds eat up so much time to see all this util from Ambrosia. Where is it coming from? Who is where? And then use mid, which has been pretty unwatched, to cross wherever they want. Now, Market has been a good wraparound for Burger Boys to access that backline of Ambrosia, but since then, the Sova, the Cypher has adapted from Ambrosia to play further deep into the site.
Camera taken out.
Well, there's good information for Sean. Has help on the site itself. Glyph trying to get over through the dark cover. Timing of when you peek this is going to be everything, though, because Bonnie's still holding close. There's the peek to the cyber cage. Quick headshot. Follow-up gets a second. Oh, tries to spam the box. Not going to happen to Sean. Holds their ground nicely. 2v2, though. Plant will come through. Alba's been able to upgrade into a normal rifle. Acreon trying to get forward. Satellite's still holding with an offer now, but are going to swap that, what you would assume, away, and yeah, we'll find a Vandal instead. Now here comes the contact. Acreon showing some force. A little bit of a double play over to the backside of the side. Big moment here, and the spam through the boathouse will work. And now Satellite is stuck, has to probably consider what they want to do here. Especially now that you're down to 10 HP. Not feeling good about the chances here, as Nanners will take 3 and Burger Boys will have an 8-3 advantage.
It was a good idea from Satellite to just, okay, you know that person in the closet, the back room is super low. You just have to hit him with one bullet. And I don't know what happened. His mouse flicked up. He got surprised or damage. I don't feel like there's that much recoil, but yeah, Satellite needs to lock in because he's a huge star on this team and he's had insane performances in the past. And this is uncharacteristic. There's a lot of pressure that comes into playoffs. Probably the first time a lot of these players have been in a scenario as serious as this, a quarterfinal in Challengers playoffs. After the adventure, the journey they've been to in Challengers, and they know that they could have played that better. And I look towards Shondex, who is, I think, really leveling up for this team. But 8-3, last round of the half, Ambrosia need this round to make the second half less painful.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's not going to feel good with 2 sheriffs into an operator and full weapons. Oh, that helps. Satellite able to find first blood. You still have a Hunter's Fury for Wellies on top of this. So again, if there is contact on this B main play, you can reinforce this defense quickly. But instead, it's a late barrier match. Lift. Caught. That's a rifle down. Not what you want.
Glyph is that surprise factor from Ambrosia. I like what he does at A. Usually he pops out through main, and this time he's trying to insert himself to a fun position at B. And now you got the net coming down, hoping to trap some players to set up Satellite. I think he's got a lot of confidence after that first blood and couldn't hunt down the rest of Burger Boys yet.
Retro still trying to clear the corner with main. Misses the shot, though. And the Hunter's Fury is going to get called. It's sent the right direction over towards A main, but the dance from Practo avoids the majority of the Hunter's Fury, plus finds a first blood on the site, but Nanners, pardon me, that was Shondex back at the site taking down Nanners. Leads it just down to Retro. Decoy first. Now Aldrone gonna tag him, and you're stuck with this operator. Shock darts are finding value. Follow-up flash, you better hit a quick snipe, but no, not gonna happen. It's Sean for 3, and an 8-4 half, the must-win round that we talked about for Ambrosia does come through. And now we take our attention back to the pistols.
Shondex has had a few multi-kills throughout these rounds. It has been so impactful for Ambrosia to find equal numbers, and the turnaround around that would otherwise go in Burger Boys' way. So an 8-4, not too bad, especially you would like to see more out of Ambrosia, of course, with the double sentinel situation, but don't underestimate now that there's been many 12 rounds gone by what Ambrosia can do now that they're more warmed up. But this is still a Burger Boys that had a very strong first half.
Yeah, and you know, again, just kind of looking at how the statistics have gone, Burger Boys have been good on both sides of the spike. When they do lose, though, they often don't do enough on the offensive side. So that's obviously kind of a moot point with how they were able to fare in the first half. And it does put a lot of pressure onto Ambrosia. I think the most important thing about this, again, anytime you look at double Sentinel, it's can you get on site? Because once you do, you know, that Sentinel setup can allow for a very comfortable post plant. But the early GravNet attempt is pushed back. And Ambrosia will try to reset and reform.
Yeah, because that recon from Welly, like Burger Boys, or that recon from Practo, I should say, made Ambrosia hesitate despite them having obviously more numbers than whoever would be at the front door, but not wanting to take any risks. And speaking of risks, you got the convergence of all the duelists in mid getting the spike down. So Ambrosia have to pick up the pieces, and there's just Glyph left to re-clear this all on his own.
Yeah, and the spike in this position, it's going to take some miracle working. Footsteps coming through. Bonnie's still in the corner. There's the paranoia. There's the check. And the crossfire teamwork is perfect. So pistol goes the way of Burger Boys. And really not a decision here for Ambrosia. You really don't want to put yourself into a position to have to force into stingers here, because if you lose this round, it'll feel like YFP last time around. You lose this, you're looking at double digits. You're looking at 11 most likely, because you're not really able to afford the round after this. So this decision is mandatory, but it does require you to win this round out. Otherwise, you're broke.
Yeah, to just be caught all in the middle of the map is unfortunate timing for Ambrosia, because they got discovered stacking over at B. So it was a good read from Burger Boys to expect them to be mid. I just want to see Ambrosia just commit more, faster. Well, I guess this is just a very different series than the last one we casted, where it's a lot slower on the approaches, but Ambrosia are trying to clear as much as they can.
Well, spike down A.
Opportunity here squandered. I was about to say, you get on the site. I was about to say maybe it's the only benefit. Sean has a chance to reload onto this, but there's just too many to deal with. Yeah, just a full flood through tree. Read pretty decently. Obviously, you just kind of find yourself in a blender trying to block off that glass position, and the stinger purchase goes awry. So again, now you're just in light to half buy situation, looking down the smoking gun of a free bonus here for Burger Boys, who will, again, just based on the probability, likely be up 4 to 11. Oof.
And not winning that pistol really killed Ambrosia. And I still think it comes down to that reaction to getting 5-man reconned. And you had someone in the net, and Ambrosia couldn't follow through. And now the dice are, or the dominoes are falling and not in Ambrosia's path. So I think another timeout would be nice to kind of recollect yourselves before it's too late. But it's getting into the direction of it's already too late with Burger Boys being at double digits. So it depends on what Shondex can do in the solo scenarios, can inspire the team to go towards B. You can win this 1v1 against Alvin, get the judge drop, but I expect this judge to at least claim one body before it goes.
Unless the flash is perfect. Oh, nice snap from Alvin. Gets more than just the first. And that is immediate value into the 4v3. Bonnie can follow up by holding this angle with the outlaw. Hickory and will be able to at least get closer to annihilation, but not even a consolation prize at this point, with Ambrosia down pretty significantly. And it's just difficult to figure, how do you go about even pulling this round back to make it even plausible?
Gun here.
Versus just a team that has a lot of talent, a lot of good ideas, but just lacking a leader that tells them to just go and to sprint in. It's a lot of careful approaches, but Burger Boys have a setup and a Bonnie who is absolutely trying right now. And now with the outlaw, just bringing out the pistol of all things, but really trusting in the crossfire he has with Fracto to get Burger Boys up to 11.
Okay, now it's do or die for Ambrosia. And like we talked about with the YFP NB game, after you go into that forced purchase into the second round of the half into Stingers, trying to get this gap a little bit tighter after losing the pistol, your opportunity to fiddle around with your offensive playbook is essentially zero. Like, it just, whatever the design was when you came into this matchup, it better be perfect. Yeah, otherwise, it's just the time is going to run out on your ability to try to get this comeback going. So, critical round here again for Ambrosia. Again, it is going to be a true bonus ×2 for Burger Boys. Trying to go for the flash Bucky play, respected, but not able to get that going. Teleporting away from the grab net. Nanners is still in trouble. Teleports a second time to be able to take care of the dart. But that should be entry gain for Ambrosia. Still stuck at the front doors, though.
Yeah, Ambrosia were pushing their drone into tree to find where that Omen was, and they got paranoid by said Omen, so Ambrosia got tripped up, finally. Burger Boys got tripped up, and Ambrosia couldn't really follow through despite having such a strong advantage.
No.
And Bonnie is now at the front gates with the Sheriff free shooting against an Ambrosia team not looking at him, bringing Welly down to 5 HP, so it's not unwinnable for Practo.
No, especially the recon.
Spike planted.
See what this first contact will look like. Welly going to step up onto the spike platform or near it. You've cleared out a lot, so you know that the likelihood is down low, and then something else either on a crossfire or backside of the site. Spy cam deleted. Welly, likely the next one up. Shondek's going to check. Quick little shoulder, a little elbow tap, and now Welly will make their move to actually try to take this, but oh, the timing is so exquisite. Practo clean on the shots to Shondex, but Welly comes through as the lowest health pool member left alive, and still able to find perfect timing to shut down that play and keep Ambrosia afloat.
I like that Ambrosia in that post-plant scenario just waited, you know, oh, Pronair is never going to hold that spike on the first tap, so you just kind of jiggle and see where if they're going to shoot, are they off the spike or not, and then you continue to buy time. If Welly, though, wouldn't have stepped up in that moment, they probably would have lost that 1v3. I got really worried about how timid Ambrosia were looking once that jet started to ramp up, so Ambrosia can always level up more, and it's, man, that first blood is going to be critical for Ambrosia if they keep this up.
Yeah, absolutely. But Practo going to hold a tight corner, just playing the opposite crossfire with Alvin. Trap wire a little bit further forward to make sure there is no play, at least over towards the switch. You also got kind of a idle defense at mid with that other trap wire in play, so that Aldrin doesn't make you panic too much if you're Burger Boys, but someone's gonna have to step up here and go 2 for 1 at worst.
After spotting that Sova kind of pop out every now and then, Practo's not gonna take that risk this time, and Ambrosia were ready just in case, teleporting now into that market door and getting an alternative angle was really cool from Ambrosia, and Burger Boys are smoked off in terms of reinforcements, so Practo is solo, hoping the smoke lasts as long as possible, but spamming through it. What a read from Glyph.
Yeah, I don't know if that smoke got to where it was intended to go. It looked like it was trying to get on top, just barely to the sidewalk to allow, you know, Practo in sight to try to stay alive a little bit longer. But now it's just down to see what Bonnie can do with this Guardian. And may just be playing for exits because there's really nothing else that can be done here. What is essentially a 1v5.
Hey, those exits would be huge though, where the money from Ambrosia is at, but Bonnie's the GOAT, so he's gonna go in anyway. And Glyph already trying to exit the site, takes care of that. And Ambrosia bought themselves a couple of rounds where it's not an absolute beatdown and there is potential. And I don't even know whether to say that or not, or it's just fake comeback, but Burger Boys have figured out how to download Ambrosia in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a long way to go here. I think that's the biggest part about it, you know, for Ambrosia is, yeah, the start has been solid to how this half has gone, considering, well, and the start hasn't been solid. These last 2 rounds with the gun rounds have been solid. But there's still just going to be so many obstacles that you have to hurdle. Like, the leader's advantage that Burger Boys has right now is significant, to put it lightly. So there would have to be some convincing narrative changes to what Burger Boys have in mind for their defense. You know, you've got Retro on an op. You've got Bonnie with knives and a Bucky. You'd be thinking that based on what you can put together here, Burger Boys should be looking at this saying, okay, we have an advantage with this op in play. So if we just land 1 shot, should be good to play a 5v4 for our 12th round, but we'll see.
Cutting through.
I trust that Retro has mid pretty locked down with this op. And
yeah,
then
I do too.
You could even have Bonnie be aggressive if you wanted with the Bucky, but the spike, maybe there was a chance if Ambrosia's really sold the fake at B, but they want to be stacked as much as possible to assist the spike into the site. And you already have Bonnie on the back foot who's going to abandon the front door. Annihilation did get a pull actually on someone of Burger Boys, but Bonnie doesn't care. He's shredding the rest of Ambrosia like they're Swiss cheese. And it's coming down to a 2 versus 3 from Ambrosia, doing their best to capitalize off that annihilation. And the plant going down as Burger Boys have to push from boats.
Yeah, Bonnie's going to be feeling a little frustrated because the two knives are incredible. You try to get the right click just barely off, and then you just don't quite get the Bucky pulled out in time. But the 2v2. Decoy will move its way over towards stairs. Wow, that blind op shot through the wall was close. And this Paranoia cuts through the site perfectly, or does it? Noelle was not fully affected, and now Retro in some trouble. Can't find Shondex in the corner, who was hit by the Paranoia. And now it's 7-11, and we can start talking about the word comeback.
Okay, if you say it, I believe it. But yeah, once the numbers are diminished, like these 2v2 scenarios, 1v1s, like Ambrosia look more in control of the situation when they have time to communicate how they want their crossfire to be. Once they're within the site, especially B, there's a lot limited options to where the threats can be coming from. So it makes the round a lot simpler for someone like Welly and Shondex, which have been the two best performers, in my opinion, on the Ambrosia this map.
Oh, yeah.
Burger Boys 2 more rounds, but this is easily a position where you're like, oh, it's only 2 more. It's only 2 more. And then 5 rounds go by and you're in OT. So
yeah,
Burger Boys got to close it out.
Running out of daylight still is Ambrosia, but you can appreciate the sunset a little while longer. Ooh, outlaw shot's not going to land. Satellite doesn't actually teleport all the way back, but the trade is good. That is your hero rifle as well, down for Burger Boys. In a collectible spot, though, if the smoke can get replaced, Aldrin will get a ping. Hunter's Fury is going to come out, forces him into the action. Acreon also has been hit by this, and then you get the rifle on top of it to Retro, who connects. Oh, not like this. If you're Ambrosia, you think you're just footsteps away with that first blood from getting to 8. But they can't make their way through mid. They can't make their way comfortably to B. It's going to be a 2v3 on this post plant to keep Ambrosia within the realm of possibility of bringing this map fully back.
Yeah, I was like, Burger Boys close it out. Not expecting to start that closeout on a gritty, because a lot of sheriffs were brought into this round, and at the back, they are evacuated from their safety, and it's Alvin, the big round, to get Burger Boys up to 12. And now this is looking more cooked, but Ambrosia did look better as time went on.
Yeah, I mean, in full purchase, they definitely have been playing better across the map. It's just, again, the economic advantage that Burger Boys have had throughout this entire map has been significant.
Match point.
Ambrosia is going to be able to full purchase again, and you've got a Hunter's Fury of your own now to start to work with. But with match point and the need to get 5 in a row, you need pretty much a flawless round here. You're still going to have to kind of battle against another full Burger Boys purchase after that. So you have to get to 9 first, and then maybe a chance to start stretching towards OT. But this round right here has to be convincing, with Ambrosia still kind of hampered with light armors and not full rifles that you want.
Yeah, Burger Boys, I like that they're giving more attention to mid in that last round, for example, just where their cameras are spotting over at B main, to just kind of having Bonnie on duty just for that. And now that they've sensed that Ambrosia is at A, it's already the reinforcements. Ambrosia haven't even stepped into the site, and I think they should abandon it, depending on what the Hunter's Fury can find, which not looking like any pings. And you've lost one of your duelists if you're Ambrosia, or the duelist. So this is a map 2 angle for sure.
Yeah, definitely feels that way. Nice little spam down for Retro at the front doors. And Shondex and Acreon are going to have to pull off a 2v5 miracle. Decoy not going to fool anyone. And this just feels like a matter of time type of situation. You wait for the dark cover to fade, and then maybe you get a peek before it gets replaced. But it has to be a shot that gets hit right here, right now. As the Aldrone is coming through, Shondex will have to tuck and cover right inside of Wine.
30 seconds
and
left.
He has been seen, so Burger Boys will hang out, still stay here, and just wait as Ambrosia essentially have to hit this site, you think.
Last player standing.
Yeah, that's going to be it.
Especially when you left your spike here to have to re-clear mid on their own. A strong map 1 for Burger Boys on their map pick. And then we go to Icebox next, which is Ambrosia's pick, but they didn't look great on that last Icebox they went to against TSM when you had Nanners on the Reyna,